Panther Nation, Rockstar Gang, what up, what up? Merry Christmas to everyone. Hopefully everyone had a wonderful Christmas. I know I did, and I hope everyone else in here that's watching did as well. I hope that everybody, I know I ate too much. I know about that. I know I ate too much. Yesterday after I ate, I felt miserable. So I mean, if you're like me, I went all in. I went all in yesterday on some food. So hope everyone had a great. I hope everyone had a great and wonderful Christmas. By the way, so temperature check though. Let's check the room. Let's check the room. Get in the comment section. Love to hear y'all's thoughts. How are we feeling today? How are we feeling about that Panthers loss on Sunday? I mean, Bryce had a heck of a performance, right? I mean, he had his best performance of the season. Let's be honest. Back-to-back weeks, he's done well. But I'm just trying to give credit where credit's due. I don't know about y'all, but we're gonna dive into that recap today. We're gonna break it down. Before we get into today's video, as always, make sure you pound that like button like it owes you money. Get in the comment section. Love to hear y'all's thoughts as we go throughout the day. So get in the comment section, comment it up. And then, of course, if you're new here, welcome. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you love what I'm putting out there constantly, make sure you do that. All right. Those three things go a long way. So let's get into the Panthers recap. All right. Let's get into the Panthers recap. I'm going to share my screen and, we're going to dive into it here. What's up, Toxic Black? Appreciate you joining the live stream, brother. The Panthers, they lost 33-30 to the Green Bay Packers. This was a nail-biting encounter, and Bryce showcased, I felt like, his, something we haven't seen before all season, right? He had a career high in 312 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the Panthers offense was on fire. This is the best offense performance I've seen all around, not just from Bryce, but from the wide receivers, from the, the offensive line, everything. I mean, the offense was on fire. They scored 4 touchdowns. They put up an impressive 30 points. The victory was snatched from us, though. Whether you want to say it was Piñeiro's fault or the defense didn't step up like they normally do, or if it was that Romeo Doubs catch that was, we all believe that it wasn't incomplete. Let me know y'all's thoughts on that. I mean, was that a catch? I don't think so. But again, it left a sour taste in my mouth. And we stumbled out of the on the sour note, we stumbled out of the gate. I mean, there was ineffective plays, a sack on Bryce. It kind of set a disappointing tone there. And for me, I felt like the defense struggled to contain the Packers, and they allowed A.J. Dillon to score the first touchdown of the game, which put the Packers on the back foot. And then, put the Panthers on the back foot. And then, but Bryce Young's resilience, Tommy Tremble sparked and reignited a drive. And despite missed connections, they managed to put points on the board with a successful field goal attempt. However, the Packers capitalized on our mistakes. And the second quarter, we saw some momentum swing there. The Panthers called their way back into the game. Raheem Blackshear's impressive return was nullified by penalties, and then the Young found DJ Chark and Adam Thielen for crucial gains. A well-executed reverse by Smith-Marsette resulted in the Panthers' first touchdown in 3 weeks, guys. First touchdown in 3 weeks. Now, the defense faced challenges. There were some penalties, some close calls, making it difficult to stop the Packers. And the Panthers kept fighting and went into halftime trailing 23-10. Then in the third quarter, they opened up, with a bang, as Frankie Luva got the sack on Jordan Love, setting the tone for that defensive stand. The offense also stepped up with Chuba Hubbard securing a touchdown. However, mixed the extra point, which kind of continued to haunt us there. And then in the fourth quarter, it was a nail biter as our offense battled back. Young connected with Chark for a touchdown. Raheem Blackshear converted on a 2-point conversion, and trying to get the game. And it was at 30-30. And despite their best efforts, we just could not seal the deal. And the Packers emerged victorious. It is what it is. I don't think it was a catch either, guys. Toxic Black. Yeah, it was. How was my Christmas? It was good, man. My Christmas was very good. Spent some time with some family, and just ate a lot of food and had a couple drinks, and that was it. It was just a nice, relaxing Christmas. What's up, Anthony? No catch. Yeah, what's up? Yeah, I mean, no catch in my opinion either. No catch in my opinion either. Again, we got to talk about, again, we had this game. This was Bryce's best performance, and we just didn't seal it the way we wanted to, right? We didn't seal our fate the way we wanted to. Let's get over here. Now, here it is. Bryce Young played the best game, and we're going to talk more about his performance. He has the same amount of 300 passing yards as Kenny Pickett does in his career. Also, over the last 3 weeks, Bryce Young has thrown the second most passing attempts, 96 in the NFL, and without an interception. So that's good. And the PFF grade that he got over the past 2 weeks has been an 84.3, fifth among all the quarterbacks right now. And then the biggest thing for me was seeing that Bryce Young in the second half versus the Packers was 16 for 21, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 136 passer rating. Again, Bryce, let's talk about his performance real quick, okay? Let's talk about his performance real quick. Let's put it on this one. So, again, it was a roller coaster ride. Okay, it's been a roller coaster ride this season with this team and Bryce Young, and it's kept us. Some people are saying he's a bust. Marcos Cash is in the chat. He's one of those guys who doesn't believe in him, and that's okay. Everybody has their right to their opinion here. Okay, everybody has their right to their opinion here. All right, and if we look at the numbers, okay. Now this is against Green Bay right here. .78 QBR rating, 63.9, 312 yards, 2 touchdowns. Okay. In this game, he had a whole rating of 110. And I mean, what else can you say from the kid? I mean, all we've been asking for this whole season is just progress. That's all we wanted. All we've wanted is progress, right? From the kid. Okay. And let's talk about the deep ball dilemma. All right. We know that he has faced criticism for his deep ball accuracy. So with many questioning his footwork and the touch, things got tougher when he struggled against Green Bay. Now he did a little bit, but no worries. I think that's something that this off season became a crucial period for him to redefine that deep ball skills, really hopefully unlocking a potent offensive weapons, maybe bringing some, obviously this offseason bringing some help in what could be helpful, right? Could be helpful. Sorry. Something kept popping up on my screen. Let me reshare that. I'm going to share this instead. Because ESPN was being a little crazy there. ESPN was being a little crazy there. So yeah, there's definitely, hopefully, that's something he's going to work on this offseason, right? With that dilemma of the deep ball. That's something he can work on. Now, let's talk about the silver lining with everything of his performance, right? Despite the deep ball challenges that we've seen from him, okay? Young excelled in precision between the numbers. He distributed the ball well, short to intermediate routes, really trying to offered us a little bit of a glimpse of that rookie development that we've been really trying to look for. His velocity, his timing on his throws into tight windows, really, I felt like signified his growth. Even there were some occasional misfires, but still, we saw that, right? And another thing that we saw was we have his pocket progress in this game was also very evident to see. Now, his pocket presence really involved which has been a challenge this season, obviously due to the offensive line with injuries and also the depth issues, right? But he showed poise in this, stepping up in the pocket, his recognition of the defensive scheme, the quick decision making, showcasing some positive steps. Okay. Now, although further refinement is needed there, right? But there were signs of growth in that pocket management in this game. Okay. I felt like we saw the glimpses of what we need to see. And that's all I've asked for from this kid, is to show progress. In the past 2 games, he has shown progress to me. Okay. I don't expect this kid to come out there and throw for 312 yards every single game, because a quarterback doesn't always have to do that, right? You don't have to go out there and throw 300 and something yards a game I believe, to win football games. We've seen it, right? I mean, look at Buffalo against Dallas. They ran the ball. Josh Allen only threw for 90 something yards, but they ran the ball so well, he didn't have to. And that's great. But again, there is going to be times that's not always going to happen. There is going to be times that your quarterback's going to have to step up and, make some throws, make those quick decisions and those time throws. And we saw that. Again, it's just progress and progress and progress. Okay. Now, this past Sunday, we didn't get the win. Sure. But that's not on Bryce. Bryce performed well. Okay. The wide receivers, they all stepped up too, right? We saw that. The wide receivers stepped up, made some plays like they did against Atlanta. So I feel like the offense now, I mean, I know it's late in the season. It's kind of late for this, but where has this been all season? Where has this been all season? Right? And the last thing, you got to talk about the kid's fighting spirit. Okay. He has been playing under pressure the past 2 games, if you think about it. Bringing that game-winning drive against Atlanta. And then he did the same thing in against the Packers, but yet, of course, we lost. And whether that's, you want to put it on the defense not stepping up and making plays, because if we look at the defense, I mean, we barely got any pressure, I felt like, on Jordan Love. I think we only sacked him 1 time. And that's an issue. There was not enough pressure on him. And, where's Brian Burns? That's something we also need to talk about. Where's Brian Burns been? Right. But he led a spirited comeback again in high pressure situation. He showcased urgency. He made some standout throws. And despite the loss, his tenacity and his statistical brilliance, and for me, instilled some hope for brighter days ahead. Now, granted, I am not saying that this kid is the franchise. I'm not saying that he's the saving grace. Can he be the franchise? There's a possibility. Can he still be a bust? Yes, there's a possibility. I'm 50-50 on the kid. Again, I need to see this continue on as we go through, the rest of this season. And then I need to see what we have this offseason. And let's hope that we can build this offensive lineup to help Bryce out, right? Bring in some weapons. Let's see what this kid can do. Okay. I'm not necessarily, like I said, I'm not necessarily saying he's the franchise guy. I just want to see what can unfold from some lessons that he learned from this season and areas that he can redefine, like in the deep ball accuracy, continue growth in that pocket presence. Let's see what he can do when he also has a little bit more help, right? For us Panthers fans, let's look ahead with a little bit of optimism, but not too much. Let's not go overboard, okay? There is some promising quarterback things that we got to navigate here, but there's a lot of unpredictability here, and there always is. One throw at a time at this point, but again, let's just continue to see the progress. Let's see what he does against Jacksonville this week. Let's see if that can continue, that momentum, how he's playing can continue into Jacksonville and on to Tampa Bay, and then let's go into the offseason and prepare for the draft and prepare for the free agency and go from there. All right. Again, all I ask from this kid and all I've asked for from this kid, and I think other people have said the same thing I've said. Let's see, if he can continue this, right? Let's give it some time, but let's not go overboard, okay? I think that what we saw this past Sunday is maybe some glimpses that hopefully we can see in the future, all right? Again, I know that some people like Marcos Cash is saying in here right now, he needs to lead us to a win on Sunday. Yeah, I'd love to see that, Rock. I'd love to see that. I would love to see that momentum. Hopefully he can continue this momentum all the way down, through Jacksonville and all of that. Marcos Cash says, it only showed up against a bottom-ranked defense. Again, Marcos, I get it. But in the NFL, it is hard to throw for over 300 yards. I don't care who you're playing, okay? I don't care who you're playing. It's not easy to put up 300 yards. We're not seeing these quarterbacks put up 300 yards every game. We're just not. We're not seeing that, okay? But Bryce showed it this Sunday, and I think he showed some promise. I'm not saying that he's it. Burns is a no-show. I want to know why, if we go look at the statistics of the pressures, the tackles for the loss, and the sacks against Jordan Love this past Sunday, there was none. And again, our defense did not do well against the run. A.J. Dillon, Aaron Jones were having a day with us, and we just could not seem to stop the run. Even though Nick Thurman has stepped up, you got to give props to him. Derek Brown's been a Pro Bowler all year. Frankie Louvu is the only one I think who had a sack in that game. We need more guys on the defense in those types of situations to step up and make plays, which they've done all season. But in this game, we did not see it, and it's unfortunate. But it also comes down to that Romeo Doubs catch, and I think that has, the refs have ruined that game for us, in my opinion. Just with that one catch, right? AJ Burke says, good take. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Pop comes in from the Black Cat Panther podcast. What's up, Pop? I hope you had a great Christmas, man. Comes in and goes, which wide receivers are you keeping? Well, it's hard for me to say, honestly. I mean, DJ Chark these past couple games has stepped up. Obviously, Mingo's here because he's a rookie. So, I mean, he's obviously staying. Thielen, obviously, after that interview, is he going to be here? I don't know. I feel like Thielen doesn't want to be here anymore because he wants to be on a contending team because he's at that age, right? So I don't know if he'll be here or not. With his contract, though, it means that he could be here. But for me, if I'm keeping, obviously I'm going to keep Smith-Marsette. I like what I've seen from the kid, the versatility that he brings to this offense. So I'm definitely keeping him. Obviously, Mingo's here, so I'm keeping him. I would love to keep. I'd like to maybe keep DJ Chark because he has stepped up, and we've seen more of him in these games. I would probably say those three. I would really let either trade Adam Thielen or let him walk, or and let him go to a contender, because I think that's what he really wants. If I had to pick, but the three that I'm definitely obviously keep, the two that are on this team contract wise, besides Mingo, because obviously he's a rookie and he's on his rookie deal. Definitely keeping Chark, and I would probably say Smith-Marsette. I think those two are great. I think Steven Sullivan and also Tommy Trimble have been great. They've stepped up. So, me and Marcos are on the same page here. I think Marsette, the reason why Marsette, again, that versatility, that gadget player, he brings that style that we were trying to do with Chenault, but the speed of Marsette brings that more versatility there. And I like what he brings to the table. Chark is starting to, again, he's starting to show those old DJ Chark flashes. And he's starting to, I feel like that this offense maybe is starting to mesh together. And so I feel like what I've seen from Chark has been enough for me to keep him around maybe another year. And then, of course, Mingo. But Sullivan and Trimble have also been great possession and vertical threats through the air. And that's why I'm so confused. Like, why haven't we seen this all season? Why haven't we seen these guys get open? And why is it? Because was it the play calling? Was it Bryce? Was it that the wide receivers weren't getting open? Was it the offensive line not giving the Bryce the time? What is it? Right? Like, I'm so confused now at this point. It's like, why hasn't this offense clicked like this all season long? Was it injuries as well to the offensive line? Was it the beginning of the season with the injuries with the wide receivers? So I think it's kind of a combination of the play calling, that the coaching staff, right? I think it comes down to they weren't creating plays that really are versatile for this group of players between the offensive line, the wide receiver, and the quarterback. I think that's been an issue. But yes, Bryce has a lot of room to improve, right? There's still room to improve. The footwork, right? The deep ball accuracy, the reading of the defense, right? There's still a lot of room for improvement. Like I said, these are lessons that need to be learned from a rookie quarterback. I need to see, again, I just need him to refine this offseason that deep ball accuracy and continue his growth in that pocket presence. And we can see more games like that if he can do so. You know what I mean? If he can do so. So, but good question, Pop. I think but like I said, I'm with Marcos Cash. His comment right there kind of just took the words out of my mouth. I think those guys can stay. Yeah, I mean, you can't say the first three quarters, man, because if you go look at his second half stats right here. I mean, it says it right here, Marcos. This is his second half stats. It was probably maybe the first two quarters that he was probably missing some guys, but 16 for 21, 199 yards, 2 touchdowns in the second half. I can't say that it was the first three quarters, because in the second half, again, this offense stepped up, and it's unfortunate because if we go look at the defensive stats, right? So if we go look at the defensive stats, so let's pull up ESPN real quick. But it's still the second half, dude. He was even though the 2 touchdowns came in the fourth quarter, it's still the fact that he was still 16 for 21 in the second half. So he wasn't missing guys. He wasn't missing a lot of guys. That's only 5 passes missed in the second half. So again, make that make sense to me, Marcos. Make that make sense to me. I know the 2 touchdowns came in the fourth, but again. All right, so if we're looking, the box score that I want to look at is the defense, because let's break that down real quick as we're breaking down this recap a little bit more. Now, we talked about Bryce's performance, but let's look at the defense, because that's where things get interesting. Because if we're looking at it right here, okay, we're looking at tackles, the defense is here, right? So sacks, we only had 1 sack on this kid on Jordan Love. You only had 2 tackles for a loss, 2 quarterback hits, and 1 PD in the total game. So that means that that they were getting no pressures. Exactly, Marcos. Exactly, Marcos. So again, the defense didn't step up. The defense didn't step up the way that we normally see, right? We normally see, at least I feel like this defense, this defense was ranked what, 3rd, 4th in the league for yards per game, and we allowed 219 yards through the air and 162 yards. So this is probably the worst defensive performance we've had all season. We couldn't stop the run. And then, of course, the Romeo Doubs catch, which we all know wasn't a catch. But, I mean, DJ Chark has stepped it up, man. 6 receptions on 8 targets, 98 yards, 16. I want to keep – I would love to bring Thielen back. I just don't think Thielen wants to be here. And then if you look at Tommy Tremble, 4 for 6. Thielen was 6 for 8 as well. Steven Sullivan. Now, Mingo wasn't much, but Smith-Marsette caught an 18-yard pass. But again, if you go look at his versatility here, he's got 2 carries, 33 yards, and a touchdown. So, that versatility brings a lot to the table with him. Yeah, you also got to think about Pinheiro missing those field goals. Well, okay, he missed 1 field goal, but he missed 2 extra points. So that's 2 points there. I mean, we lost basically by 1 point if you think about it. And Raheem Blackshear, was putting us in great position from the kick return. But again, if you look, the defense is what killed us. Not stopping the run and not getting any pressure on the quarterback. And that was what I was predicting them, not really predicting them to do, but that's what I wanted them to do. Challenge the run, chase down Jordan Love. And I put that in my prediction video, and they didn't step up like they normally did. Again, this offense, we all know, or not this offense, but this defense, again, before this game, this defense before this game was ranked 4th in the NFL for yards per game, with only averaging 296 yards per game for teams on offense. So we just did not step up in the defense by putting pressure on Jordan Love and not stopping the run, and that was the biggest issue that it came down. And of course, the Romeo Doubs catch. I still feel like the Romeo Doubs catch, those refs not getting that call right. Even the announcer said in that game. But again, we got to give credit where credit's due. Bryce did his thing. And the offensive line did pretty well. I mean, look, they only sacked him twice. So, of course, one of those sacks ended up becoming a fumble, but of course it was recovered. The DJ Chark fumble was unfortunate as well. But Frankie Luvu and Derek Brown, I mean, the defense just did not step up. Let's see what the comments are saying right now. Should have been at least a touchdown and a field goal in the 3rd quarter. I believe. I mean, Marcos, I believe that too. I mean, Bryce let us down there. It's unfortunate though. It's unfortunate. But Pinheiro missing 2 extra points should be that. There's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for that. ISM can be like a Ted Ginn type of player. I would love it. I'd love it for a guy to come in here and be like a Ted Ginn, be that guy, that speedster that we're looking for. But again, I think ISM brings that versatility. And that's why I would keep him around. They're starting to, they were starting to use him. And Chris Tabor has put him in a great position to get some more burn. And, I just hope that going into Jacksonville against a defense that's also not very, very good. I think they're ranked 26th in the NFL right now. I would love to, take advantage. Hopefully Bryce can take advantage of that, continue this momentum into Jacksonville. That's what I would love to see. Caden comes in and says Hawkinson's out for the season. Oh man, that's a big hit for the Vikings, but I didn't see the Vikings making it, Caden. I don't see the Vikings making it into the playoffs, with Nick Mullins or any of that. It's unfortunate for Hawkinson. I had him on my fantasy team, but my fantasy team has been up and down. All right, let's get into some other news here. Let's talk about this was an interesting article. We're going to talk about David Tepper real quick in this this quarterback search, because he's looking to steer. Is he finally looking to steer this franchise in the right direction, guys? Do y'all feel that David Tepper is truly trying to steer this ship in the right direction? That's the question here, because when you read this article, this is about a recent report by The Athletic that Panthers US put up, and by Deanna Rusin. Tepper has apparently been incredibly accountable. Apparently he's ready to make things right after several bumps in the road during his first 6 years as team owner. And we all know how that's been. And one of the most exciting tidbits from this report is that Tepper may be zeroing in on a new head coach for the Panthers. Now, we all know he's got his eye on the offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, over there in Detroit, right? Who turned down a chance to interview with the Panthers job last year, but is now reportedly ready to take on the challenge. From reports also saying that Ben Johnson's looking around a $15 million contract. I don't know if that's $15 million per year, but I know his contract is supposed to be around $15 million. I don't know if that's $15 million per year, but again, David Tepper's got the money, and money talks. And in this situation for Ben Johnson, it definitely, probably with a contract like that, knowing the owner can afford it, is definitely probably piquing some interest for him. Now, again, this is a hard sell of a team right now because of the situation, what we've heard, with the whole Hunger Games thing, right? With this whole Avengers coaching staff, texting the owner, telling, Frank Wright wasn't working on Bryce's footwork, and then wasn't willing to change the play calling up for Bryce and the offensive scheme up and all that, all those reports coming out. And then, and then of course you got the offensive coordinator, Thomas Brown's wife, tweeting saying he's basically already fired and they're just keeping him around for someone to call plays. And it's just a whole shit show. And then of course you've got the GM Scott Fitter with his issues of not bringing in the right talent, not bringing the right depth, right? The draft, the free agency, the trades, the missed opportunities of trading Brian Burns last offseason for 2 first-round picks and a third from the Los Angeles Rams. And then, of course, missing out on, players in these drafts like Patrick Surtain, Justin Fields, Micah Parsons, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and the list goes on guys that he has missed out on, right? And some of the picks that he's made, trading up for Matt Corral, trading Christian McCaffrey, trading DJ Moore, those trades also have been very scratched. You're scratching your head and we're all just wondering, is Scott Fitter going to be here in 2024? Probably. I just don't see it. And he can't be, because he's not made the right moves. But the problem is that, again, the problem is here, though, guys, that we know is that we know as Panther fans that David Tepper is going at this at the wrong way. Because here's the thing. Yes, Ben Johnson's going to be a sought out guy for a next head coaching position, whether it's in LA, whether for the Chargers or whether maybe it's going to be in Washington. But again, in Washington, they got Eric Bieniemy because I know Ron Rivera is going to get fired and they're probably going to just move Eric Bieniemy up. That's my thoughts. Again, the Patriots, the Chicago Bears, those lists goes on in those vacancies. Now, which one's more attractive? That's what it comes down to. But again, David Tepper has always gone this ass backwards. He's always hired the head coach and then brought the GM in. He did that with Matt Rule. You don't do that. As an owner, you should hire your GM and then your GM hires the head coach. Again, is Scott Fitter going to be here? Because he hasn't been fired. We all know that his future is uncertain, but in my opinion, there is no way that you can keep Scott Fitter here. So, if it's me, if you're going to go after Ben Johnson, then you got to bring the GM or the assistant GM or that scout. Marcos, please give me the name of the guy is it the scout or is it the assistant GM or is it the GM that's there now? Is it Agnew? I think it's Agnew, right? I think it's Agnew over there in Detroit. If it's me and you want to bring Ben Johnson in, then you need to bring in one of those guys over there in Detroit that has worked with Ben Johnson and knows Ben Johnson's background and how he is. Again, another guy. Yes, Rob Lohman. That's another guy, the director of pro scouting. I mean, that's a guy that you would want to bring in because he obviously can scout talent, right? So bringing somebody in like that, I know, or Agnew, right? Pair him up with Ben Johnson. But again, there's also been reports that Jim Harbaugh could be coming here. But let's talk about that because now there's a report coming out that Jim Harbaugh is not going to be able to come to Carolina. And I don't think he's going to. I don't think Jim Harbaugh is coming to Carolina because in this report, Jim Harbaugh's contract has a contract offer from the University of Michigan. And so according from Aaron Rappaport, that Harbaugh has been offered a whopping of $125 million contract over there for 10 years, which includes a clause that he cannot accept an NFL job for the 2024 season. Because it's an interesting note that he's already been linked to the Chicago Bears, right? We all know that. He's been linked to the Carolina Panthers as potential options for the 2024 season. So, but that's not all. Because according to this report as well, the Wolverines football program is also facing potential sanctions from the NCAA for allegedly recruiting violations during the COVID-19 dead period, which means that the Michigan recently received a notice from the NCAA of those allegations. And then Harbaugh faces a level 1 violation for allegedly not cooperating or misleading the NCAA investigators, but about allegedly these violations. So is he going to stay there with these violations going on? Or is he going to take that NFL position? I mean, it's hard for me to say. I mean, this guy took San Francisco to a Super Bowl, had 4 straight winning seasons there in San Francisco. But is he going to stay in Michigan with all those violations? Or is he going to accept this big contract offer that he got from Michigan and just take the hit and I guess work around it? I don't know. I think that's something that we've got to obviously stay tuned, see more about. I'm not so sure, but again, I just don't see Jim Harbaugh coming here. I really don't. I really don't. So, there's some interesting news going on, but we broke down the Panthers recap. We broke down the Bryce's performance breakdown. We talked about the David Tepper head coach search. We talked about Jim Harbaugh ain't coming to Carolina. So, another thing. Let's look at the free agent market because that's another big ordeal. Okay. Because that's something that we want to look at here. Okay. Because let's get into the free agent market here. Let's look at the wide receiver free agents in 2024, because that's what we want to look at. I don't see any top head coaching candidates wanting to come here. Honestly, I understand that. I do, because of the whole situation, right? Between knowing what the owner is, what he does, and meddling with football operations. Again, I understand. I understand what you're saying. I really do. I understand what you're saying. Jim still has a possibility, as Ben Johnson for me. Media going to do media things. Yeah, I think I want but either one. But again, because I think if Jim Harbaugh comes here, he'll bring, I think that could be an Adam Peters move from San Francisco. And Adam Peters is the assistant GM over there in San Francisco. So pairing those two back up together would kind of make some sense, right? But so let's look at the top wide receiver free agents. Okay, you got T. Higgins. Again, I think T. Higgins, again, I think he would be, I like him. But does he fit the what we would try to do on this offense, right? Do we want a big vertical threat like that when we got, if we decide to keep DJ Chark, do we need another T. Higgins, right? Michael Pittman Jr., I'm okay with it. He's not like a big, he's not somebody I feel like is a game changer. I felt like, I don't think he's like a DJ Moore. I feel like DJ Moore is a game-changing wide receiver, right? And that's what we need to be finding, is someone that can be that game changer that we can rely on more. Mike Evans, I like it again, but he's going to be a two-year contract, and he's going to want to get paid. Marquise Brown, I like Hollywood Brown because of his speed. Okay. He's got that. He is something that you can get the ball out quickly to, right? He's that kind of guy that Bryce likes to throw over the middle of the field. Marquise Brown's a guy who plays over the middle of the field a lot. I think he would be a great middle of the field player. Again, he would probably be more like a slot guy. You could, if you think about it, let's say we keep DJ Chark, you keep ISM, right? Obviously you have Mingo, you add Marquise Brown, and then you can bring somebody in from the draft, right? Depending on where we're at in the draft, right? Unless they make a trade. But again, let's just say we're going based off the second round. I've seen Xavier Legette fall there. I've seen, with some of the mock drafts that I've done, I've seen, Troy Franklin still available there. I've even been able to get Brunson from Alabama in the 5th or 4th round. Whether he'll be there or not, again, I don't know. But again, I'm looking for speed. Okay. I'm thinking about, I'm thinking about getting the ball quickly. I want to run that Miami style offense for Bryce. I think that's what we need to run. Get the ball out of his hands quickly. You'll probably have some deep shots, right? Again, none of these guys are Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle. They're not going to be that fast. And now, of course, Marquise Brown's probably the closest. But again, you got a guy like Mike Evans, who's a great route runner, who gets open, puts 1,000 yards up every year. He's consistent, right? I think it's going to be tricky with him, because with Mike Evans, there's so many outcomes that can happen, right? But again, he's 30 years old, so that's the biggest issue, right? With him. Then if we go down, Calvin Ridley, I Again, I don't see him leaving Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville will probably sign him. But I don't know. I like him, but again, with his suspension, he took some time away, but he's been up and down this season. He's had some issues with dropping balls, from my understanding. And has he returned to full speed? I'm not too sure. Is he able to? The problem is he one of those guys that can take a ball game over? That is what you need. You need a guy in the wide receiver position that can take the ball game over, right? And that's what we need. And we don't have that guy. So again, Darnell Mooney, he would just be another DJ Chark, in my opinion. He would just be another guy, you never know what you're going to get out of him. Now, Gabriel Davis, I think he's a great vertical threat out there. Apparently, as it says here, he's averaging over 15 yards per reception in every season of his career. But he just doesn't come off the line quick enough, right? And he doesn't have those breaks, and he doesn't really have that sharpness that some people like, right, in a wide receiver who can create separation over the middle. So that's his biggest issue. Again, Odell Beckham, I'm not a fan. Tyler Boyd, it's going to be fascinating, really, to see what happens there in Cincinnati with these wide receivers, because they're going to have to they have both T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. Will they have them all together again in 2024? But I don't know. I think, T. Higgins could end up signing T. Higgins, and, Boyd ends up being the guy that be's the odd man out. So again, he's a big time slot receiver. But again, that's the question. Where are we going to maneuver these guys? Where are we going to maneuver these guys? Now, if we go into the draft boards, so if we look and we go into the draft boards, so let's go over here. And we look at the wide receiver position here. You got Marvin Harrison, who's probably going first round. Neighbors going first round. Oduzier first round. I think Xavier Legette, I've seen him fall to that 33 position in the second. Emeka Ibuka, I see him going in first round. I've seen Adoniram Mitchell go in the first round. Now I've seen Johnny Wilson go in the first round. But then that leaves guys like Worthy or Troy Franklin. You still even got Keon Coleman and Brian Thomas. Those guys, are could be second round picks. Again, it all depends on how this draft goes. And I think it's going to really depend on these teams who are going after those top quarterbacks, right? Like, is Chicago going to stay and get are they going to stay and get a quarterback there? Are they going to take Caleb Williams, right? Or or are they going to go with Marvin Harrison, right? And then it depends on as you look at the drafts go down, all these people, it really depends on this draft where these guys fall, obviously. So I think that we could get a guy like maybe Xavier Legette, who I would love. I think we could also get a guy there in that second pick right there, Adoniram Mitchell. Adoniram Mitchell maybe not, but I've seen 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7 go in the first round. But I've seen 4, Xavier Legette and Xavier Worthy, go in the second. I've seen Troy Franklin go in the second as well. Again, we also have to think about with that second overall pick, do we go after a left tackle there? Do we go after like a guy, right? So this offensive line here, right? Do we go after a guy that I've seen that falls down to the second round as well, like a Jordan Morgan, right? Do we go there? Right? Do we make some trades though? Do they trade Brian Burns in this draft? Is that something that we do? Right? Because I've done a couple of trades, right, where I've picked 5 guys on the team that I wanted to trade. right? I've traded Burns. I've traded away Dante Jackson because of his contract, right? We would take $15.8 million in cap hit. Now, in the dead cap for the Carolina Panthers in 2024, it only shows $1.8 million in dead cap. So, again, if you trade away guys before that, I think it's the June 1st or July 1st sanction, something like that, you won't take the cap hit or the dead cap hit. Now, again, there are certain guys that if you do trade away, like Hurst, you'll take some dead cap hit. Ian Thomas, you'll take some dead cap hit. But, again, it comes down to what are we really trying to do? If it's me, again, I believe that if we're going to do this correctly, we got to bring in a guy like Jordan Morgan in the second, and then you shift Icky to that left guard position, and you keep Jordan Morgan there, and you put a true left tackle and Jordan Morgan there. And then you've got that left side filled up. Obviously, with Brady Christensen come back, where does he fall there, right? And then, of course, there's guys that also that fall in this draft that I've seen, like Cooper Beebe, who would be a great right guard position player. That with the unknown of Austin Corbett, do we need to fill that position too? There's also a guy in here that I love as well for the center position, and that's either Cedric Van Pran or Jackson Powers Johnson. In this draft, I feel like we have to go offensive hard. And I think we got to hit the offensive line, maybe bring in a guy from, like I was showing in the free agency, bring in a guy like T. Higgins or maybe a Marquise Brown, something like that. Or if you want to bring in Mike Evans again, the contract that's the issue. What's the contract's going to be like? Now, apparently for T. Higgins, he's looking for something around a 2-year contract. It's not necessarily saying how much. Apparently, the contract projection for him in Cincinnati is a franchise tag. Then, if you look at Mike Evans, his contract he's looking for is around a 3 years, $69 million contract, which accumulates to around $23 million per year, with a $52.5 million guarantee. All right, and if you're looking at Marquise Brown, you could sign him for a 1-year deal for $12 million. So if it's me, I'm looking at getting a guy like him, Marquise Brown. Then I'm going into this draft and looking at the centers like Cedric Van Pran, the offensive tackle like Jordan Morgan, the right guard like Cooper Beebe, and bringing those guys in, right? The running back room, again, you could bring in another running back, and there's guys that I think you can get that not a lot of people are talking about, right? That everybody's talking about the Jonathan Brooks, the Blake Corums, right? The Trey Bensons, those kinds of guys. The Braylon Allen, the Will Shipley. But there's guys like right here, Audric Esteem, who's a workhorse back, is something that we need, right? A guy that's going to plug those holes, right? So that's something that I also want to look at as well, when I do these drafts. And, I've done a couple mock drafts where we've done some trades, and, for me, the most logical standpoint for me is if we could get a draft put together like this, where, let me show you. Like this. If you can trade Brian Burns, right? So I broke down this mock draft. Okay. So if we're going to do it from a draft standpoint, this is what I think you should do. Because you're going to, right? You're either going to sign or trade Brian Burns, right? You're either going to tag him and trade him, or you're going to sign him, right? I was able in this mock draft here, I was able to get a first and a second, third round pick, even though I had to give away an extra fifth to them. I was able to get Emeka Buka in the first round at that 15 pick, and I was able to trade Brian Burns to. So if you look, see, I was able to trade Brian Burns to the Buccaneers, who needed an edge rusher based off this draft. And I was able to get a first round and a third. So I was able to get Emeka Egbuka. The reason why I'm going after a guy like an Emeka Egbuka is because, again, that 4.3 speed. That's what I'm looking for. All right. Then you get Jordan Morgan, right? True left tackle. You move Icky to the inside. Now, of course, they gave me a D-. PFF they grade based off the value of where they at. Like, they had Jordan Morgan. I think they got him ranked at like 50 something. Okay. They do it based off that value there. But then I was able to get T'Vondre Sweat in the third round there because not only was I able to get him there because that was the first pick in the third round, but that plugs an extra hole on the inside. Now, Nick Thurman has stepped it up, but I still think that we still need to build that defensive lineup there. And T'Vondre Sweat's a great guy who can stop the run, who's great against the run, and he's a great run stopper in that middle. Then you bring in a Jack Sawyer, right? You replace that that pass rush with a fresh legs of Jack Sawyer, who's a great edge rusher who can bring pressure to the quarterback. He's also pretty decent in outside coverage, but again, he's excellent in the pass rushing room. Then you bring in a Jermaine Burton, right? 4.3 speed. Again, so then you bring that Alabama wide receiver to Bryce, who, he probably has some familiarity with, right? Then you bring in Cedric Pram. You're able to get that franchise center, right? You're able to get that franchise center. And I was able to get that extra third pick there for Jack Sawyer because of that Brian Burns trade, right? But then I traded Jeremy Chin in the fourth, and I got that extra pick there, and I got Cedric Van Pram, right? Then as we go down, I traded Dante Jackson away because of the big cap hit that we're gonna take on this. So you get in Kyrie Jackson, right? And then you get Cade Stover to add to that tight end room. And then you get a middle linebacker, Michael Barrett, who's great against the run, but is great in pass coverage. And then you get that Isaiah Davis, who's a downhill runner, who's just like an Audric Esteem, a big workhorse running back. And that's how you, at least from a draft standpoint, that's what I would do. I mean, that's just what I'm thinking, because they're not using Jeremy Chin. You save $15.8 million in Dante Jackson trade. You didn't sign or trade Birds when you had the chance, and this makes more sense to me. So we got a lot of options when it comes to this. Marcos Cash is coming in and saying not. So those are just some ideas coming out of my head here. Obviously, there are some free agent offensive linemen, but it just does not compare to what I would rather build from a draft standpoint. I'd rather us build from if they want to build the offensive line up in this draft, and then if you want to go into free agency, you might have a better chance, but you never know. There was multiple scenarios that this team can go. It just depends who comes here as the next GM and the head coach, and they put their heads together and come up with that, that scheme, that the draft idea, the free agency idea, and what they can maneuver. No topping candidates equals no top free agent candidates. Possibly, but money talks again, especially when it comes to free agents and these coaching candidates. And again, David Tepper's got the money, Marcos. We're stuck with draft talent with no draft capital. Man, we are bad off. Right now we are. Again, there's multiple scenarios that we can go with here, though, guys. Kai Reader's coming in and says, what's up? What's up, Kai Reader? Appreciate you joining the live stream. AJ Brooks says, I think a possible trade partner of interest could be with the Broncos with their wide receivers via draft pick swaps or something like Chin. Yeah. And they've been interested in Chin from my understanding. And, we'll see. I mean, again, another guy that could be, there could be some veteran guys that we could trade. I've even heard that Von Bell could be a trade piece, and they move Chin back to his position, and they put, and they trade Von Bell. Again, I don't know how much trade value Von Bell brings to the table, but I like Von Bell. I just don't know who they're going to trade, who they're going to keep here. It all comes down to that. I think those players taken would make up for the Burns loss long term. Yeah. I mean, I think so too. I think that you build you bring in another edge rusher, you get that defensive line with T'Vondre Sweat, and you bring in another corner. But it all depends on. Again, it just all depends on who the next GM and the new next head coach comes in, and they decide what they want to do with this team, right? And we'll see. I mean, again, we'll see what David Tepper does when whoever he brings in, and whatever he decides to do. Obviously, hopefully he doesn't do it ass backwards, right? And he brings in the GM, even though I know that these head coaches are going to be, their phones are going to be hammered, but we'll see. We will see. You need to get a vet quarterback backup that can help Bryce out. Yeah, I think that would be helpful too. Who knows? There's so many scenarios and unknowns with this team that what can happen. You never know, guys. So again, I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. I hope you all enjoyed today's show. I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas. I really appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Make sure you pound the like button as you come in or out. Always leave a comment. Love to hear y'all's thoughts. Always feel free to share the live. That always goes an extra mile as well. And make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new here. I greatly appreciate it. We are growing like weeds over here. We're up to 4,300 subscribers. So we're almost to that 5K mark. I really appreciate everyone that has shown support to the channel. You just pounding the like button and subscribing goes a long way. And that's all I can ask for. Make sure you join the Discord. The link tree is down below. If you want to join the Discord, come and join the community over there. We're always chatting it up, debating in that chat. So make sure you join the Discord. Feel free to always follow me on any of my social media up above here. The link tree all has that as well. And make sure you check out our sponsorship of BetUS. All right, BetUS. All right, that's the sponsorship of every live stream. Go check them out. Sign up for free today. You'll get 125% bonus on your first bet. So go check them out. AJ Brooks comes in and says, I can see so many ways to fix this team, but our GM is our linchpin holding us back. Hopefully we can finally get a GM worth having. Yep. That's been the biggest issue, Brooks. I mean, we've talked about it multiple times on the show about how, Scott Fitterer has just done nothing to benefit, this team when it comes to adequately putting this team together. The only thing I would say is that, the best signing that he has done is, Frankie Louvu, and building the defense the way he has. But other than that, that's the only thing I can say. And I think also bringing Evero in has also some benefit to that. But again, that's the only thing I can say that he's done correctly. The trades, the free agent acquisitions that he's brought in, the draft picks that he has made, the list goes on. There's more cons than there are pros to Scott Fitterer. Tepper's not going to hire a head coach next year. Tepper will be owner, GM. Good Lord, Marcos. I hope to God not. Because then we'll be in a worse situation than we are now. We would go 0-17 next, the next next year if that's the case. So again, I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Appreciate everyone's support. Again, thank you. Thank you for continuing showing your support. It goes a long way. And thank you so much. I'm going to hop off on here, guys. I really appreciate it. And I'll have some more content coming to you here soon. And as always, guys, y'all know what to do. Keep pounding. Peace.